everybody, welcome back to More Pirate Makes. I'm Cheryl, and today we're going to be looking at part 2 of my sewing reset. As you already know, if you haven't watched those videos, basically I got really busy with work and life, and also my machine needs to be serviced, so I haven't sewn in a while. This is me prepping to be ready for when my machine does come home. It's still sitting next to me, but I'm going to take it this weekend. I promise I'm taking it this weekend to get serviced. And in part 1, we cleaned out my cart and got like the space ready for sewing. And in part 2, we're going to be batch cutting. Again, batch cutting I think is going to be integral moving forward to keep me actually sewing and not just thinking about sewing. It seemed to work really well for me in January, and I want a repeat of January. Even if I don't make quite as many garments, I do want to make more than I made in February and March combined, which I think was like 2 or 3. So yeah, I'm going to hand you back over to past Cheryl, and we can see what she gets up to. Okay, I'm back from my errands. I ate lunch, and now I'm ready to start cutting. I don't know where to put the camera. We'll figure it out, right? First, we're going to iron our pattern pieces. Just a quick pass to get out all the wrinkles. This is done on a fairly low heat with no steam. I didn't used to iron my pattern pieces, but I did when I was making my niece's aprons because I wanted them to be really nice for them. And I think it made a big difference in the finished garment. Everything just fit together a lot better than I'm used to. So going forward, I am going to try to iron my pattern pieces before I use them. It makes sense, right? If there's wrinkles in the paper, you're cutting that wrinkle into your fabric, and then things aren't gonna line up correctly. So again, this is Simplicity 3949, View C, and I'm going to be making the large size. I'm going to start with mine because I am bigger than my husband. I'm taller and I'm wider, and we'll see how that size is, and then if I need to go down a size for him, that's easy to do. And now I am going to iron the fabric as well with some steam because it's been folded up for quite a while. I would love to have a better ironing setup eventually this year. The iron and ironing board are pretty cheap ones I found on Amazon. I don't really like either of them, and I don't know if you can notice, but I stepped on this, so it's crooked. But it'll do for now. And this is from Joann's. This is a sea turtle fabric that I bought. I don't know. I'm sure I showed it to you, but it's just so pretty. So one of the things that I almost never pay attention to is the width of the fabric that I'm buying, and it has really come back to bite me in the butt here, because you can see this is the ties, which aren't that big a deal if they're too short, but this is the skirt piece. So I'm gonna have to have a think about that. Okay, so I looked back through my notes and I was planning on making a medium for both myself and my husband. And if I cut it not on the grain, then the medium basically fits. I think that'll be within the seam allowance. So I'm just gonna cut it, I guess kind of on the bias, and hope for the best. This I'm just gonna cut. This is the waist tie. I'm gonna piece together some ends, I think, after I see how long it is at this, if I cut just the max length. Actually, if I move this piece down, I can probably put the ties also off grain. So that's what I'll do. Because I don't know when I'm going to be able to sew this, I'm not going to put the markings on, just because I'm pretty sure they won't last. So now I'm going to cut the fabric for my husband's apron. Unfortunately, there was a mix-up when I ordered this online, and it came in 2 1-yard pieces. And when we were at Joann's in person, whenever that was, February, they had it in stock, even though online it said that they didn't. So we got an additional 1-yard piece just to make sure that we would have enough. And I hope that we do. This is the piece I'm most worried about. It's like the main piece, but this cut looks like it's probably 1.5 yards, and yeah, that fits just fine. So this fabric is even narrower than the last fabric, but that's okay because I've got this whole cut left, so I'm just going to open it out and cut it double, or one at a time that way. so I got those 2 aprons cut out. I went with the size medium. There's a lot of the Pokemon fabric left, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with that. It's a pretty big size cut, but it's a little bit awkward, so maybe I'll chop it up for bias binding. We'll see. But that's got to wrap up this section of batch cutting. Because I need to start some laundry and I want to bake some banana nut muffins, I need to get started on that. It's also the cat's dinner time, so they've started bugging me. So I might get a chance to come back to cutting today, but you might not see me again until tomorrow. Okay, so this next clip is me cutting out the mock-up for the Barden dress. I'm going to be using this blue Hello Kitty fabric that is left over from one of my niece's aprons. And for whatever reason, from this point on, I'm missing a bunch of clips. Nothing has sound, and everything was just a mess. So I'll just tell you now that I had intended for this mock-up to do some kind of bust adjustment, and to make one shoulder adjustment. So for the bust adjustment, I did decide to just move the darts around rather than add any space for like a full bust adjustment. So I have been following the tutorial from the Stitch Sisters class for full bust adjustment, for moving the bust darts, and based on their measurements, which I did go back and rewatch that portion of the class and make sure that my bust apex was marked correctly, which it was. And so it seems like from there I moved the dart down about 1/2 inch and then also lengthened it by like 2 inches. So we'll see how that goes. And then when I was doing my deep dive research into shoulder adjustments, it seems like they come into 3 main categories, and I have my notes. So you can make adjustments for the slope of your shoulders. So are your shoulders more or less sloped than the pattern calls for? You can make adjustments based on if your shoulder is more forward or more like back than the pattern calls for. And most people have a forward shoulder because it's just like bad posture and stuff. And then you can also have a shoulder that is shorter or longer than the pattern is designed for. And I spent a good 2 weeks. Every day when I would get dressed, I'd be pinching fabric, like, is this more sloped? Is my shoulder short? Is my shoulder forward? And basically the conclusion I came to is that none of my clothes fit me sufficiently to tell. So this is one of my best fitting tops. It doesn't fit at all. And also it's got this kind of mini dolman sleeve, like grown on sleeve or whatever it's called. So it's hard to tell even in this top, like what kind of adjustments that I need, because if you pinch here, like to do a sloping shoulder adjustment, I would need to take like 1 inch. And that seems like more than I've seen other people take. So what I decided for this Barden top mock-up is not to make any shoulder adjustments. Additionally, it's a sleeveless top, so shoulder adjustments are still important because it's literally where the garment sits and everything else falls from there, but I just really don't know. So I think from what I've seen from reviews of this dress, it's a little oversized, but it's generally a good fit, and they really walk you through choosing your size. So I'm hopeful that from this, I'll know what kind of adjustments I might need going forward. So I only adjusted the dart placement and length. Also, okay, in this next clip where I'm cutting the Barden top, the lighting's really bad. I worked late at work and came home and did a workout, so I look rough, and I'm also wearing a white top, which completely washes me out. So just take this as an example of how much color impacts the way you look, and consider getting your colors done. So so here is me cutting out the Barden top. Okay, so in this next clip, which I also lost the audio for, and some clips disappeared, I am finally cutting out the Renaissance bodice from that Renaissance sewing book. I'm just going to show you a quick clip of me cutting it here. The adjustments that I made to the pattern and stuff are going to be in a separate video because I do want to review the pattern and the book once I'm finished sewing it up. But at least at this point it is cut out. I cut out both the outer fabric and the lining last week. I didn't make any adjustments besides adding it was 3/4 of an inch at each of the seams, each of the side seams. I figured I didn't want to make further adjustments because one, I'm just trying to figure out how the book works and how the patterns work, and also since it laces up the front, I wasn't too worried about accommodating my bust. So here again is a rough looking Cheryl who just got off work and worked out and is getting some time in to cut. I will say when I was cutting it, I fell in love with the fabric all over again. I know it's an upholstery fabric, but I just think the thistle pattern is just so pretty, and I really hope that at the end of this, I do have a wearable garment. Okay, so that's it. It doesn't feel like a lot, but I think I made a lot of progress because I finally took the time to sit down and make the adjustments needed to these patterns so that I can get moving on my fit journey. I don't think for a moment that everything's going to work out perfectly, but I am, I guess, even looking forward to failure at this point. I'm just so excited to sew again. So again, we have Simplicity 3949 View C. I cut 2 of those, one in Pokemon and one in Sea Turtles. We've got the self-drafted bathroom pouch. The blue Hello Kitty Barden top with bust and length adjustments. And the Renaissance bodice with an outer in the thistle fabric and a lining with leftover bedsheet fabric. So hopefully I can get started sewing soon. I'm really jazzed, especially now that everything's prepped. I'm really looking forward to get going and get this to sew pile cleared out. I especially am excited to finish up the Barden top so that I can make a Barden dress. So yeah, I'm so ready. I think it's going to look so cute over a swimsuit, and we'll just walk to the pool or even just running to Costco or, you know, wherever else I need to go this summer. So I'm looking forward to that. You've seen all these before. You've already told me your opinions on them. Instead, just let me know what you think of batch cutting. Is it something you're interested in? Is it something you might try? Do you love it? Would you hate it? For me, it just seems to really clear my mind so that I can just get focused on sewing. Otherwise, when they're just sitting there uncut, I start thinking about what else I want to sew rather than what I already have the stuff for, because I've said it before, my stash is almost empty. So I don't have that many options here in the house, and that kind of makes my imagination go even more wild. Especially as the season's changing, I want to make so many cute summer things. I'm so ready to be hot. I want everything to be like short and cropped and all my skin out to feel the sunshine and the breeze. I'm really, really excited for it to finally warm up and stay warm. But the truth is, this is what I have at the house. So this is what I need to sew, right? Especially as I'm like on this fit journey, I don't need to be buying new things. I can't afford it, but also it would be wasteful because I need to, like, why not practice on what I've already got, making these new fit adjustments and go from there. So yeah, let me know what you think of batch cutting, and let me know if you're going to go on a fit journey this year as well. that's it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I want to grow this channel this year. This year. It's only been this year. I'm going to work really hard to make videos more consistently, and I would really appreciate your support. Every like and every comment engages the algorithm and helps, more people see these videos. I don't think I'm amazing or anything, but I hope I'm relatable. And yeah, I just love talking to you guys too, so there's that aspect. But I will see you next time.